What's up, guys? Specstar here today with my draft recap for the first season of the DGBA Division 2 League. So, basically what it is, it's a league with GBA tiers but split. As you see, there's 1A, there's 1B, and there's different point costs for each of them. And interestingly, instead of 1,000 points, you have 1,020 points, which kind of allowed me to make a big purchase that I wouldn't have otherwise been able to make, but I'll get to that later. Mostly a lot of the same rules as the GBA for the most part, and well, I might as well jump into it. I had the 5th pick, and here I went and I grabbed myself Celesteela, and Celesteela is actually my top choice. I really didn't think it would fall to me in the 5th pick, but it did, and I was glad to take it. Celesteela is a monster. It has both defensive and offensive functions that performs very well. Defensively, the Leech Seed set, almost nothing loves to come in on. This thing can break stall with sub-seeds. It can shit on offensive sets with a Totemize, gaining beast boost, increasing its power along with its speed. Basically just a phenomenal Pokemon. It's really proven itself to be one of the best Pokemon in Draft League, if not the best in leagues without any obscure unbans. So I was happy to take a number 5. I'm just go ahead and grab it as my tier 1A pick. And after that, I went and I grabbed myself a Mega Latios, which I've had for 2 seasons in UNL, and I am glad to bring to my team here. Latios and Celesteela have great synergy. Celesteela shits on the bug types that give Latios trouble. Latios shits on the fire and electric types that give Celesteela trouble, so they really work well together. I give myself a great set of ground immunities at the start, which gives me some freedom. I've explained Latios twice before, but basically phenomenal special attack to go with its speed. It's really a fast nuke. Has great attack actually in 130 and gets Dragon Dance and some options there. All in all, just one of my favorite Pokemon to use in Draft League. I didn't really expect it to be there in round 2. Glad to have it. And oh, of course, it's 1A, so I got no bonus points for taking it, but that goes without saying. Next, I went ahead and I took Sylveon here. And Sylveon, I mostly just took because its value at 2B. Usually, you're going to see it as a 2A in a split league. Sometimes you'll find the thing as a 1B. In fact, it had good value there, and it also rounded off my Fairy Steel Dragon Core. Sylveon's just a great little wall with that insane special defense bulk and a pretty serviceable defense bulk if needed. It of course gets that special ability Pixelate, which means that with its 110 special attack, it actually isn't nearly as passive as a lot of the other fairies. Things are going to come in on Hyper Voice and take actually quite a bit of damage. I'm allowed to use Baton Pass to pivot out, which is going to be relevant. Thing gets stuff like Calm Mind, Psyshock, which are relevant to it. It's a Cleric, gets Wish and Heal Bell, so I can keep the rest of my team nice and healthy. Really, I just thought it was good value in round 3, and it perfectly rounded off my Fairy Steel Dragon Core. Next, I went and I got Hoopa Unbound, tier 1A, and the main reason I took Hoopa is I had my team very well rounded off with the first 3 picks. There wasn't really something I needed to grab, so I kind of had the freedom to grab something I wanted to grab, and that is Hoopa. It is filling no gap on this team. It just gives me something that is a nightmare to prep for. If you haven't played Hoopa Unbound in League format, it is not fun, because there's nothing that walls this Pokemon. It has great physical and special sets. It has in that insane 160 attack and 170 special attack. even a really nice special defense stat that's the same as Sylveon's. Yeah, the same special defense as Sylveon. A little bit less HP, but really that's insane for an offensive Pokemon. Hoopa gets a ton of coverage. I mean, it's got Energy Ball, Fire Punch, Focus Blast, Focus Punch, Grass Knot, Gunk Shot, Ice Punch. Gets Nasty Plot, which is pretty nasty. Shadow Ball, Signal Beam, Thunderbolt, etc., etc., etc. And oh, it gets something interesting here called Trick Room, which can get a little bit tricky. This thing's not the fastest Pokemon in the world, but maybe it can be the slowest Pokemon in the world with Trick Room. Opens some interesting possibilities, especially because there's really nothing that loves to take a hit from this. And with my next pick, I'm just spending my points like MC Hammer. I was able to afford another 1B because we had 10-20 points. So I was able to afford myself the extra points to go ahead and grab this thing. And yep, we went and we got ourselves for 1B Zeraora, and Zeraora is going to be our first Z user, and it has the same Z rules as the GBA, which, for those who don't know, I'm going to quickly explain. If you have a Tier 1 Z user, you can also get a Tier 5. If you have a Tier 2, you can also get a Tier 4. Tier 3, you can get 2 Tier 3s. So that's basically it. Of course, there's more details about it, but we really don't need to get into all that. Zeraora is a Pokemon, if you've followed me, you've seen me use with great success in UNL. It was basically the MVP of my team and maybe even the league in Season 1. And I got it in the 5th round. It was available in the 5th round, and it gives my team speed, which is very valuable. Because prior to this, my fastest Pokemon is Mega Latios, which of course isn't bad, but this thing is a lot faster, and that is going to be very nice. You should know all about Zeraora if you watch my previous video. It gets some relevant moves and fighting coverage and close combat, Drain Punch. It gets that special move called Plasma Fist, which is very valuable. 100 power electric move, which is just great with its speed. It's Fake Out, Quick Attack, Volt Switch, Acrobatics, Fire Punch, a few relevant moves. Even saw me use Calm Mind with this. Calm Mind and Snarl, that was a fun battle. And yep, it's our Z user. It can throw off some Sky Strikes, some Gigavolt Havocs with its speed. I thought adding a Z on it makes it even more dangerous. And yeah, I'm excited to try Z Zeraora. With my next pick, I went and I got myself an Amoonguss, and Amoonguss, another Pokemon I got from the UNL Season 1. Amoonguss and Zeraora pretty much carried my team in UNL Season 1, so let's hope they can bring that over here. And unfortunately, it will not be a Z Amoonguss this time. You know, I would have loved to keep that meme alive, but if I wanted a Z Tier 1, I couldn't have had a Z Amoonguss, so unfort. They should change that rule for Amoonguss, frankly. You guys should know a lot of what Amoonguss does. Gives me another sponge for electric moves on top of Zeraora, another Pokemon to take water hits. Just my first wall aside from, well, Celesteela can be either, and this is just another one that can pair with Sylveon. Amoonguss and Sylveon have a very good defensive synergy, which kind of allows me to play more liberally with Celesteela. I'm not pressured to force Celesteela to be defensively, and that's what getting Amoonguss here allowed me to do, so I was very excited to have it available in the 6th round as a Tier 3A. And yeah, you guys should know what Amoonguss does. Physical Wall, Assault Vest, it spores some things, puts some Night-Night, throws off some foul plays, all that fun stuff. And let's move on to our last 5 Pokemon. The next Pokemon I took was Breloom, and Breloom does not fit my team. It just doesn't. The reason I took Breloom is because it was the 7th round, and Breloom was a 3A pick, and I did not think Breloom should be a tier 3, so I just had to grab it. That's value. I really had to scratch my brain to try to figure out how to make Breloom on this team work. It essentially did open up an ice weakness for me that I had to patch. It also made me a little bit less good against fire than I wanted to be, so that was something to keep in mind. And while I was thinking about how I can make Breloom work on my team, essentially my old school core philosophy came back to me, and that philosophy is value above all else. So I just went ahead and I grabbed Breloom. And Breloom, another Pokemon that gets Spore. I have a nice tier 3 Spore core, and it gets, of course, great abilities in Poison Heal and Technician. I guess the people who play today probably don't know too much about Poison Heal Breloom, but if you round back in Black and White, you know all too well about it. Hey, Poison Heal Breloom stays good. You can use that shit in OU and make it work. It may not be running the tier, but it can do some things. And Breloom, really good Pokemon. Technician boosting Bullet Seed and Mach Punch really makes this thing powerful. Doesn't have the best speed, but with 130 attack and a nice priority move and Mach Punch boosted by Technician, it's pretty good. And also gets a move called Rock Tomb, which becomes 90 power and speed decreasing. Rock coverage on a grass and fighting Pokemon is amazing because it gets to hit flying types and so many of the other things that can come in on it. It's great coverage. Of course, it gets Swords Dance, which is good. It can have Synthesis. I've run defensive Breloom before, and I'm gonna run it before I die again, I guess. It's T-Punch. You probably won't see a run T-Punch too often. It's usually better off running rock coverage, but it's definitely a possibility for the thing. Not too much else to talk about for this Pokemon, I don't think. And my next pick here is Gigalith, and I said that I wasn't as good against Ice and Fire as I wanted to be. Of course, Gigalith takes literally every fire move ever. You combine all the fire moves from all time and you throw them all at one Gigalith, the thing's going to take them with a plum. It gets Sandstream now, which makes the thing not irrelevant. It gets Atomize, which it has absolutely no speed to abuse, so I'd have to Atomize twice. Well, maybe against a really slow team it could do something, but no, it's probably not. It probably needs 2 to do anything. This Pokemon can take both fire moves, and it's a de facto ice resist, which means it doesn't really resist ice, but it takes ice attack. So basically it's an ice resist, even though it doesn't. It gets Stealth Rock, which is always the best move in the game. Stone Edge, Superpower, Earthquake, some interesting coverage options. It has really, really good bulk, because if those of you who don't know, in the sand, rock types will have 1.5 special defense. So that means if I have the thing Careful Nature, it will get 284 times 1.5, which is 420 something. And that's a lot of special defense. And it has a very high defense stat too. Pretty good attack stat. Really just a bulky thing that sets up stand. And what is a Sand Setter without a Sand Abuser? I went and I got myself a Stoutland, and just in case I didn't have enough offense on the team already. A Stoutland, of course, gets this move called Sand Rush. I'm not sure if Sand Rush prevents Stoutland from taking sand damage. I know that sand. What's the ability called that Cacturn gets? Sand Veil? I think it's Sand Veil. I know Sand Veil prevents Pokemon from taking damage from sand. I think Sand Rush does, but I could be wrong. But most importantly, it doubles this thing's speed. So this thing will be flying. throw an Adamant Nature on it, get that attack going with some IVs. 350 attack, pretty good with that speed boost. The thing's coverage is pretty good actually too. One of the few Pokemon that gets Psychic Fangs, although that's certainly not the most useful move it learns. Gets Superpower, Return, of course, Retaliate, which is always a very interesting move to use on fast normals. It gets moves like Ice Fang. I don't know if it gets all the fangs or just ice and electric. It gets all the fangs, so that's some pretty interesting coverage there. Crunch, Pursuit, very interesting. Play Rough, Iron Head, Stomping Tantrum. It really has a lot of interesting coverage options. So this would be a fun Pokemon to use, having it flying in the sand and all that coverage it has. So my last two Pokemon here are both going to be 5A, or I put 5A, they're both 5Bs. I had to get 5Bs because of my budget. I really broke the bank trying to get all these powerful mons together. For those of you who don't know what Volbeat does, it does basically one thing: Prankster, Tail Glow, Baton Pass. That's it. That's what this thing does. That's Volbeat. And then I went here and I grabbed myself a Magmar. And Magmar is a pretty interesting Pokemon, not the most commonly used thing. I needed Fire type, didn't have one. Magmar is both bulky with a Violite, and it has interesting coverage options and not the worst speed. It gets Belly Drum and Mach Punch, which I want to use some point. It also gets Flame Charge, which is interesting with Belly Drum. I really do want to make this work at some point, but it really is going to take a specific matchup to make it that good. Some interesting coverage moves in T-Punch, Overheat, Fighting coverage, Low Kick, Power Up Punch, Focus Blast. All these fun stuff. Gets Clear Smog, which is pretty interesting. Anything good? Usually useless. Dual Chop, I guess, has its niche. Iron Tail, I mean, fairies are everywhere now, so Iron Tail has become not the worst move, not a good move. Always misses, but not the worst move. And yeah, that's going to be basically it for my team. It's not the most balanced team in the world, but it's got a lot of power, and I think people are going to have a bit of a hard time prepping for it. And I think I'm going to have a bit of a fun time prepping with it. So to recap, I got Celesteela, Megaladios, Sylveon for that great Fairy Steel Dragon Core. I then went and I got myself Hoopa Unbound. I got Zeraora back along with Amoonguss from my UNL Season 1. I got Breloom, which I thought was a steal as a Tier 3. That powerful Sand Core of Gigalith in Stoutland. And then two little cheap crap mons in Volbeat and Magmar. So that's going to be it for the video. I do want to thank you guys for watching. Have yourselves a good night.